Well, Duncan, we're here at the end of what has been a pretty gruelling delegation. We've done several countries. We're finishing up here in London. You're the chair of the EABC. What's been the main takeouts for you?
I think the big takeouts this year, and they are different to last year, is that Europe is talking about competitiveness, which was not really the main issue last year. The first priority of this current Commission, the European Commission, is competitiveness. And the other big thing is the sovereign capability issue around defence and security. That is coming out loud and clear, not only in the EU, but also in the member states.
And that's obvious because of the changed strategic environment we're in. We're a group of business people from across the spectrum: agriculture, finance, banking, universities are at the table, defence are at the table. How important do you think it is that a group like the EABC keeps wearing out the shoe leather and doing what we're doing, particularly at this current time?
Well, I think it is important because you're right to say the world is in a pretty troubled state right now, and we in Australia, together with the EU, are looking for travelling partners. We need to have people of like-minded disposition to advance into the future. We're looking for partners. We're actively looking for partners. The free trade agreement is, in my view, a no-brainer. I mean, it's something that we should get done, and we should get a high-quality one. I'm not suggesting we just give in, but a high-quality free trade agreement is something we need, and I think we need now.
So I was going to come to the free trade agreement, and of course nothing will be complete if I will also mention Horizon Europe. But with the free trade agreement, we've had a couple of stumbles, and you said it's a no-brainer. How close do you think we are, and what's the final thing to get it over the line? Government, we can't do it at any cost, and we accept that, but what's the final push?
There's still a few glitches, but look, I think we are close. The trade negotiators, as you know, are now back together by direction from both the Trade Commissioner in the EU and our own Trade Commissioner, Trade Minister, Minister Farrell. There are still sticky issues over agricultural access. But I think this can be worked through, but it will require political commitment. We won't get this solved from both sides. We won't get it done by trading horses, in a trade negotiation. It requires political commitment. I think that's there from the very top. I've had no indication other than there is support from President van der Leyen and from our own Prime Minister. The Commissioner, I believe, of Trade, Šefčovič, wants to get it done, and we know that Minister Farrell wants to get it done. So I think we should. But there are some issues. Mercosur, of course, there's a free trade agreement between the EU and Mercosur, which is in its final stages of endorsement.
So we're in a queue.
We're in a queue.
Yeah.
The bandwidth for negotiating these things is only so wide. So we'll see what happens. But look, I'm confident. We both sides want this to happen because we need fellow travellers in this rather dangerous world.
Can I take you back to the very opening statement you made about competitiveness, defence, security? You, of course, have covered. You've been an ambassador in the region. You have a defence background, national security background. You've said there's a shift. We've talked about the geostrategic context. You would have seen shifts previously. Is this a real step change that you would not have seen previously in your career?
Yes, it is. I mean, there's a war in Europe. I mean, that hasn't happened in the rest of my lifetime. I mean, it happened in my father's lifetime, but so you feel that, and it's visceral here. I mean, particularly as you get closer towards the Ukrainian border. We've just been in Poland, and you could feel the sense there of the proximity of this war. But there has been a general degradation of a sense of security. We have great power competition going on around the world. We've got a war in Europe. We've got a war that's coming and going in the Middle East, or largely coming, not going. So, there's three cases where there is contest. Great power rivalry is the thing that's impacting us probably most in Australia right now. What is going to happen in the Indo-Pacific area? So no, these are real challenges, and they are of a magnitude that I don't recall in my previous working life.
It's a pretty grim synopsis when you put it like that,
It is pretty grim. And look, I'm not one of these people that runs around thinking that some sort of conflict is inevitable. I don't believe war is inevitable in these cases. It's completely within the wit of man to avoid this, but it's going to require some very hard work. We don't want to sort of sleepwalk towards one of these problems. And I think the Western democracies are under a challenge. I mean, we've been saying for some years now that there's a collapse in the rules-based world order, the global order. That's true. I mean, a lot of the rules have changed, or they are changing, or they're being challenged at any rate. We've got the autocracies, if you like, being able to give to their constituents a reasonable proposition. Look how we've brought these people out of poverty and all those sort of things. So the Western world is under challenge, and it's at a time like this we need to hang together. You know, we've had a lot of testiness within the international trade framework. The tariffs that the US president has been putting forward are terribly disruptive. So it's not a time really for us to fall apart. It's a time for us to fall together and come together.
Our ambassador to the EU, Gabriele Vicentin, talked about teaming up, not ganging up against, the country which is our greatest ally.
Yes.
Historically, and I would assume now. Do you subscribe to that view?
Yes, I do. You know, I mean, I was asked even today by journalists about, is the United States the problem? That's not actually the right question. You know, the United States is what it is, and it will do what it's doing, and there is some readjustment, quite obviously, and there is some disruption going on. But at the end of the day, it's the democracies of the world which need to lift and come together. And that's one of the big things we've been hearing here in Europe. It's one of the things we as a council, I think, are trying to progress in Australia's interest. But look, it's been a very interesting trip we've done here. I think it's been, as they always are, they're very interesting but also very useful to make sure that we've got as close a connectivity with Europe as we can have.